Hello friends. So today I will be talking about an interesting topic which is about what will happen to nodejs when Deno will come in the market. Like what is going on, man? Is really Deno is something which will replace Node? So today I will try to answer this question and I will try to pinpoint what are the things Deno is coming up which is good, and eventually why Deno is coming up. So what happened? Let me give you some background about it. So the scenario is like this. The actual contributor for Node.js who has actually built Node.js is Ryan Dell, and Ryan Dell actually pinpoint few of the regrets he had when he was building Node.js. So what he realized is that let me build something which is improving that particular things which I could not able to solve in Node environment. So he come up with a new language, a kind of a relatable thing with Node.js. As if you can sort Node, then you come up with Deno. So that means you want to tell that this is more organized and more better version of Node. You can say that it's a Node 2.0 something, because this is something which is newly come in the market and which is trying to resolve some of the issues related to Node. But eventually, let's see, will it really replace Node.js or not? So that is a big question. So first of all, let's understand what is the Deno out here and how it's related to Node and how it's better than Node in some perspective. So when we talk about Deno and Node in the nutshell, then what is there is that Node.js is based on C++ and it uses V8 engine to execute JavaScript code. So actually V8 engine itself was originally developed for Google Chrome to execute JavaScript in the browser very quickly. Meanwhile, even the new Microsoft Edge version is also based on V8. So that is some other issue. Let's talk about something else. So when we talk about Deno, Deno is also relying on V8 engine, but instead of using C++, Deno is actually based on Rust programming language. And they have realized is that they want to come up with a more secured kind of platform out there. Like a Deno is a secured version of Node there, as you can see over there. So the point is that when you go to the Deno website and you can see over there, it simply says that Deno is a simple, modern and secured runtime for JavaScript and TypeScript that uses V8 and it is built on Rust. That is a simplified word statement saying that it's really worth saying that it's secure runtime environment. So why you might be thinking that it's secure than Node? What are the scenario which tells that it is really secured? So what happens is that when you run a particular server on Node.js, then most probably what happens are lines of code which you write to run a particular server code. Actually that particular, when you run that code, that particular engine will eventually kind of trust that code, that your code is actually correct and it's actually trying to access a port which is having which it has access to. But that is a prediction. But what happens is Deno, it will ask you to give a permission to allow it to run on that particular port, so that it will throw a particular error if you don't allow a network access to that. So it will say that it's a permission denied, network access error. So you need to allow it by putting a flag called indicating like double hyphen allow hyphen net. So that is a particular flag which you have to put to run the particular Deno application, indicating the Deno application that you are authorizing that particular port and want to access it. So that is the one thing which is eventually landing up to tell that this will be a kind of a secure thing, and which will not eventually land up predicting that everything is secure in the world and give you access to change the things a bit here and there. So secondly is one more interesting thing is there which I came to know about, which is really a huge impact. what happens is that when we are using nodejs, we have a node modules and we keep all the dependencies over there, like all the packages over there which we are dependent upon in a particular code. So we normally import that package information and we use that things, but we keep it into a node modules folder. What happens in Deno, they don't have any such folder. They have get rid of that particular thing, and what they are doing is that they are having a particular URL which will be a kind of a server URL from which a file will be imported, and it will be helpful for doing all the application work, which is a kind of a predefined kind of codes are kept somewhere on server and you are just downloading it on runtime. So what is happening with second interesting thing is that when you run a particular server, when you start a Deno application and running a server kind of, so what happens is that all those dependencies will be downloaded at that time. Not just you have predefinedly downloaded everything like npm install, it's over here, it's on runtime. So what happens is that whenever you install it for the first time, from the next time it gets cached and you don't have to install it again. Eventually not need to download it again and then install it. So the point is that only for the first time you are downloading that packages and you are installing it by default in having a kind of cache of it, and after which you don't have to install it or even don't have to download it, and it will be there with you alongside with your application. So you don't have to keep a particular folder out there like node modules and maintain that particular thing, and it will be getting rid of that npm packages. So why the npm packages are not good enough to use? The problem is that it's due to the lack of security out there. Due to in the npm lot of scandals are going on, so due to that all the dangerous things used to be happen. So to get rid of those things, they have some kind of a way to come up with a solution to provide a particular URL where all the things have been kept and which is much secure than the npm packages, and they are expecting the same thing out there. So what will happen is that now npm is not there and they have their own different libraries which they have exposed out there. The problem currently is that they are not having much support of the different kind of work out there. So when you are currently that's it's a new version and a new thing out there, so it won't have a lot of developers out there or a lot of community out there which they have created a lot of packages in there. So already npm was having a lot of packages existing, so which helps the developer to in all the way. So in Deno it's currently a new thing, so it will take a lot of time to build that community out there. So that is something which will take time. And then we talk about another one interesting thing is that there is one more interesting factor out there, which is when we use nodejs, we don't have a fetch function, which is actually a predefined function or kind of library which is an alternative library for SEOs, which is in nodejs. And what fetches does is fetching the particular data from a particular route. So what happens is that when you are using a nodejs, you might be knowing about Axios. That is a way to fetch the data from a particular route and get the response. So that is a way. But when you are talking about browser way, then browser has a native way to do it, which is a fetch, and a lot of people know about it. So that is something good enough. But what happens in Deno is that Deno, you can use a window based objects, so you can easily get used to fetch over there. So you don't have to be having external dependencies or any other packages which is like Axios to be using in server side for fetching the data from a particular route. So that is something good, interesting thing is happening out there. So that is another interesting thing which Deno is providing. And there is one more thing is that Deno is providing a JavaScript and TypeScript both kind of a support. As a nutshell, you don't have to do anything, you just have to create a file .ts for TypeScript and .js for JavaScript, and both will be supported by Deno without any further ado. So in what happens in Node.js, you have to do a little bit setup when you want to do work with TypeScript. So that is already handled in Deno, so that is a one interesting thing out there, which is cool. And these are the few things which I will be covering today, indicating that these are the things which are little bit better which is coming out there. But again, when we go to the question like, is Deno is really replacing Node.js? So my answer will be actually that will be a more or less a kind of answer which is, in my opinion, is that it's not necessarily a kind of answer is yes. The answer won't be yes exactly, because it might be the possibility like after around 5 to 10 years the things will be more modified and it will be coming more stable situation, and it might replace Node.js, but that is not so close enough to be talking about, so we cannot predict those things. Rather than that, we can only say is that it's a kind of a good approach and good initiative taken up by Ryan, and he has come up with a solution to all the problems related to Node.js, which is good enough. And let's say how more the support will be there for this particular language kind of thing, and kind of what I can say is that how the people will be adapting it out there. So let's see what will happen. So that is what a kind of a particular my opinion on this particular take, like what Deno is trying to indicate out there and how it's going to be moving out. So hope good for the same, and let's see what comes out there for this one. So thank you for this particular thing, and thank you all for watching this video.